Hello, everybody. It is me, Demetra K, and I hope you're having a great day. I am here by myself because Donovan, he had some home repairs to do, and he's kind of left without electricity. So he doesn't have internet or anything like that, but hopefully everything works out for him. He said he may try to join us tomorrow if Walter comes on. Let's keep our fingers crossed. But nevertheless, I should say the purpose of the Demetra K Show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we're great people, but we can always strive to do better. Like I said, Big Giant, thank you, hello, and welcome to YouTube and Facebook. You are the other side of the conversation. We'll not be sharing the link today because I already had a power outage because it's kind of hot here in Houston. I guess kind of like the first real hot day of the summer to come, and for whatever reason their grid don't seem to know what it's doing. So hopefully we don't go out here. If we do, I will come back on my phone, so don't go anywhere. Hello, Maureen. How you doing? Brother Reggie, what's going on with you? Gary Mack, hope you're doing well. Def knows what's going on with you. Sagittarius Goddess. So today we're going to be talking about Diddy on trial, which I didn't think that I would be at any time ever, but I've been following it a little bit, and I kind of found, some things to be kind of interesting. So far, it's a day two. I'm not sure at this moment if it's wrapped up or not. I think that it probably has by now. So I'll give you guys what I know so far. But we're going to be talking about what has happened so far. I don't know if you guys have been following it, but some interesting things I think have come out. Some things that made me say, really? Okay. So we'll get into all of that. Who else came on here? Lynette, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Sunlight, hope you're having a great day. Diane, what is going on with you? I can't complain. I was a little tired earlier. I was like, I might cancel the show. I was like, no, don't do that. Get you some water and then make it do what it do, right? Mike Nice, what's going on with you? And again, yes, thank you to all the moderators. I love and appreciate every last one of y'all with everything that you do. King Noble, what's going on? Of course, if y'all see people up in here acting crazy, y'all know what to do. Y'all usually get them before I do, but we really don't have a lot of time for foolishness. If not, they in here and they, saying some things that's not over the top. Okay, great. But y'all know, what to do if they get to acting crazy. Hey, Thunder, how you doing? Long time no see. Hope you're doing well. Anyway, Sunlight says, FYI, today is the anniversary of the, move bombing. Yes. It's still no justice or reparations. Yes. So it happened in Philadelphia. I think it was 1985. That had happened, where America, I think it was the second time in the United States history that dropped bombs on its own citizens. The first time was Black Wall Street. Second time was the MOVE, organization there, where they were their own, colony, or not colony, but their own little, section of the earth, right? They're like, leave us alone, y'all do y'all thing. All the members' names, last names was Africa, and of course the government could not leave them alone, and a whole lot of accusations were made, and they were just really Black people trying to just be away from society, not really doing anything wrong, but of course, the government can't mind their business, and the rest is history. So yeah, from what I understand too, there's still some members that are in prison. Some of them have been let out, but they've been, very geriatric, how it goes. So anyway, it's a sad situation, but that's part of American history, right? Unfortunately. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. So as you guys know, Sean P. Diddy Combs, I don't know what name he goes by now, but it was Brother Love at one point in time, but people been calling him Diddy. Y'all see my raggedy Charger, whatever the case is. Anyway, so today is day two of the Sean P. Diddy Combs trial. Of course, he has been accused of, let me get it right, so you will know exactly why he's on trial. So it says charges. Combs faces 5 federal charges: racketeering, conspiracy, 2 counts of sex trafficking by force, fraud, and or coercion, and 2 counts of transportation for purposes of prostitution. He has pled not guilty, obviously, right? So he's been in there since, I think it was October-ish, November of last year. I think it was November. They did not give him bail for a whole host of reasons. I guess they cited him maybe being a flight risk. Of course, he has a lot of money. Y'all also might remember too, the prosecution, if you will, they were also talking about taking his stuff, right? Like his properties and money, basically trying to allude that, well, he got a lot of this stuff due to these RICO that we're trying to hit him with. Okay. So now yesterday was the opening statements, and The prosecutors alleged that Combs operated a criminal enterprise over 2 decades, coercing women into drug-filled sex acts, often recorded for potential blackmail. They highlighted a 2016 video showing Combs assaulting his then girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. So, of course, y'all saw that. I think it was it this year? Last year, one of those. I think it was last year. That CNN, they, released this tape that came out of nowhere. So it sounds like maybe Diddy tried to hide it, like a catch and kill type of thing. And somebody somewhere kept a copy of it, and CNN ended up with it. And we've seen it on repeat. Everybody was talking about it. Of course, y'all saw where he was, whooping on Cassie there. She looked like she was trying to escape on the elevator, and he dragged her through the hallway and all that kind of stuff, right? So I guess that kind of came up too. Now the defense is saying, defense acknowledged instances of violence, but argued that the relationships were consensual and a part of a swingers lifestyle, denying the sex trafficking allegations, right? So the defense is saying, okay, yeah, that stuff happened, but is it a RICO? Did he, it's probably more so a case of domestic violence, right? Not saying it's right. And he's a freak, for lack of better words. He's saying he likes some freaky things, but is he really engaged in organized crime? That's what his defense attorneys were saying. And he's got Brian Steele, who was on the YSL case, Young Thug and all of them. Y'all saw him do his thing, of course. I think Mark Garagos' daughter is also one of the attorneys that Diddy has. He has several. Sounds like he spent about $10 million for this defense team. Sounds like it could be somewhat of a dream team. Now, the prosecution is made up of 6 white women. And the jury that has, finally been seated, obviously, is 8 men and 4 women. So some people are saying, okay, maybe. But it doesn't sound like too many people know the races of the jury, okay? Now, as far as the witness testimonies, it's saying the hotel security guard testified about responding to a woman in distress called finding Ventura with a bruised eye and Combs displaying a devilish stare. So I guess that was the definition that he gave. And a male escort claimed that he was paid thousands by Combs to engage in, acts with Cassie while Combs watched and recorded. Now, a little bit more of the detail comes out. I guess he said the first time that he ever met them, Cassie opened the door. She had on a red negligee and a red wig and things like that, and basically told him what was going to take place. Handed him $4,000. And then he said that at the time, I guess he didn't know that it was Diddy, but Diddy was sitting in the corner with a hat on, and his face was covered up, I guess, with a scarf or a bandana or something. Then he says, I guess over time, then he obviously knew who Diddy was when I guess they got a little bit more comfortable. But it also sounds like, he said throughout the various times that they were together, with the baby oil and all of that, that he did see Diddy get physically violent with Cassie, but he didn't intervene for whatever reason. He said, Diddy also took a picture of his ID, and he felt like, okay, is he going to try to you hold it over my head or whatever the case is. So on day 2, which is today, Cassie finally takes the stand. And it says Ventura, visibly pregnant, I think she's like 8 months pregnant, provided emotional and graphic testimony detailing years of alleged abuse by Combs. She described being coerced into freak-offs. Now, I guess she described a freak-off as basically what they call a male escort. He would then come over, do some things with her. Doesn't sound like that Diddy was ever involved, but he would, do what he was doing off to the side. Sounds like recording too. Whatever case. So that's what a freak off is. Lots of baby oil involved from what it sounds like. And she was asked, what was the longest time that you'd ever have to engage in one of these things? And I guess she said 4 days at a time. And then it wouldn't be a lot of time with rest because it's kind of like, I guess, was the nature of her and Diddy's relationship. This is kind of what I'm understanding. So let's see. So it says, also says, where she was forced to engage in sexual acts with male escorts under Combs' direction, as I was just saying, while often under the influence of drugs and alcohol. Okay, now it says Ventura, which is Cassie, recounted instances of physical violence, including being struck and dragged by her hair. She also spoke about Combs's control over her personal and professional life, including monitoring her appearance and confiscating her devices. So it sounds like for a while he was paying for her rent and for a condo, I guess, in Los Angeles. And then I guess she started paying for some of it. Kind of sounds like she was like, okay, he finally allowed me to pay for my own things. But I guess when she wouldn't acquiesce to things that he wanted her to do, he would often have, I guess, his security detail confiscate things from her, whether it was her cars and, just different things, I guess, that he would buy her. This is what she's saying. It's not my testimony. This is what she's saying. Now, the defense cross-examination, it says defense questioned Ventura's credibility, highlighting inconsistencies and her drug use. Then they maintained that the sexual activities were consensual. Okay. Now, I guess the trial is expected to go on for several weeks as they're going to have more and more people testify. And sounds like Cassie's husband may testify. I don't know. There's a lot to be told with that. Again, this is day 2. Now, one of the aha moments that I got is because you guys remember when she dropped the lawsuit onto the public, because I guess her and her lawyers were saying, hey, you need to pay Cassie for what you did to her. And then, of course, y'all know Diddy was like, nah, I ain't going to do it, right? I'm not going to pay. And then we learned about it. So it was like a year, not this past November, but the November before that, the lawsuit dropped. And, of course, all these details and stuff came out. And everybody was horrified, like, oh, my God, all these things. But then the male prostitute talked about a situation. I'm not going to try to get too far into it because a lot of the details is like, but the prosecution, I guess, brought up or somebody brought up about somebody being urinated, in their mouth. And I guess for whatever reason, they were trying to get him to say or ask him or basically imply that it was Diddy. And the male prostitute said, no, Cassie asked me to do it. She asked me to, urinate in her mouth or whatever the case is. But he said that, I guess at one point in time, I don't know how many times he did it, but he wasn't doing it right. And then Diddy and Cassie was like, no, that's not how you do it. This is how you do it. So when I started hearing more of that kind of stuff, I'm like, okay, So, and I admit to, again, Cassie is a lot younger than Diddy. He's 57, I think, and she's 38. So she's still a lot younger than him. But to his defense's point is like, was it consensual? Now, I do believe, this is my unprofessional, non-legal opinion, I do believe that there was a lot of coercion going on there. So I'm going to ask you guys, if you guys have been following, what you guys think of all this so far. Are your minds changed about Diddy, Cassie to this point? I don't know. I just want to have a conversation with you guys, but that's all I know so far. There's no televisions in the court at all because it's a federal trial. And usually with federal trials, they don't allow cameras inside. So you got to kind of get it out the mud from the people who are allowed to get in there. And I guess they are allowed to have their phones and, take notes and things like that. And then when the breaks take place, they all run outside and get in front of a camera, whatever the case is. But yeah, we're just learning from other reporters who are, I guess, privileged enough to be in there. Now, I should say that his children, it looks like his mom and a couple of his, at least two of his baby moms, I think, that I've seen so far, they're also in there. It sounds like, though, his daughters did leave throughout some of the testimony for obvious reasons, right? It's kind of a little bit on the graphic side, and I don't think very many people want their children to hear that kind of stuff. But, they said Diddy is in good spirits. Obviously, y'all can see from the thumbnail because you can't take pictures, right? He's very gray and, all those things. So a lot is left to be seen. So I'm going to get in the comment section. I'm done. All right, let's see who else came on here. And hopefully, I've given you guys as much detail as taken place, but it's a lot. All right, so let's see. Let's see. Okay, you guys just kind of talking to each other. Cynthia Haynes, how you doing? Hope you're doing well this fine evening. Brother Brady says they calling him Sean in court, and they should. That's his name, right? I know he's been going by Diddy. Brother Love, Puff Daddy. And, you know, God knows whatever else he's been going by. But yeah, his name is Sean, technically, right? Sean Combs. So yeah. Hey, Brother Samuel, hope you're doing well today. I did get your article. I did see that about Ross Baraka, and I'm going to read the article. Very interesting. Jamarcus, you crazy. Talk about AKA Freak Diddy. Yeah, you know, and that's what his defense team is pretty much saying, that at the end of the day, he's just a freaky guy. You know, he likes freaky stuff. And, you know, I was having a conversation with somebody about this yesterday, and they're like, oh my God, you know, why would a man want to do this? I said, come on now, Diddy ain't rare. Diddy just caught. You know what I mean? I said, a lot of people, I don't know how many, but I'd imagine, do that kind of stuff. That's not a rare thing, right? But obviously with all the other stuff that they were accusing him with, but I'm saying everybody don't just do missionary stuff, right? Some people like to do that. I don't know. But I always ask, is he morally bankrupt, or did he break the law? Because, you know, a RICO charge is for gangsters, right? Organized mob, you know, syndicates and things like that. Now they're trying to get him a RICO for moving people that were having sex, you know, or whatever, from getting on the plane, right? I guess maybe some other means of transportation. But it's like, yeah, that's kind of where I'm like, is he just freaky, or is he a criminal? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Roger, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. CJ, what is going on with you? It's actually Tuesday, although it does feel like a Wednesday, huh? Let's see. Thunder, you talking to Mike. And Sherry, how you doing? Says she did make $250,000 off of each freak off, so she was getting paid. She got to walk away with $3 million, and he helped her parents get a business before she sued him for the $30 million, and she left with the help. So you're talking about the help being her husband, Alex Fine. I guess he was the personal trainer or something like that. And I guess that kind of came up too, I think yesterday, in regards to, I guess he was with another woman. And so she got mad, and then she ran off to be with her now husband. And I guess all hell kind of broke loose during that incident. So interesting. All right. Sound like he says sick. Okay. Jamarcus says Diddy in the chair looking like the Lone Ranger. Yeah. And, you know, they did offer him a plea deal. Sounds like maybe the plea deal was about 15 years. But if he's 57, yeah, he'd be over 70 by the time he got out. And you think about it, with a jury trial, you have a 50-50 chance of walking away. Now, it sounds like if he is to be found guilty on these charges, he could honestly do the rest of his life, more than 15 years, right? In prison. So I guess he's probably like, yeah, no. And there's some people who said I could see why he took the risk on having a trial, because if Cassie was more complicit than she said, and, you know, other things taking place, am I a domestic violence, you know, abuser, whatever? Absolutely, Diddy is that. But even still, Cassie hasn't filed no police reports. In fact, a lot of people did not file any police reports. Even a lot of people who are the witnesses, like the guard, and even the male prostitute. Nobody filed any, what do you call it, police reports. And the guard at the hotel with the CNN tape, I guess he said he intervened, told them that they'd have to pay for the room because I guess the room was messed up. And he said that Diddy handed him some money. So I guess the question from his lawyers is, did he hand you the money for a payoff, or was the money to take care of the damages in the room? So it doesn't sound like that was necessarily answered. It sounds like Brian Steele, Diddy's lawyer, was like, well, you're a guard, and it sounds like he's also a police officer. Why didn't you call the police? Seems like you had some sort of duty there. If what you're telling us happened, why didn't you call the police? And then it also came out that that particular guard, who's also a LAPD officer, I guess somehow got a recording of the video, and he showed his wife and other people. And then he was like, oh, well, I showed it to him so that way I'd have some witnesses to say they saw it too, just in case the recording disappeared. That's what he's saying, right? But they're like, why would you pass that around and not call the police, you know? Anyway, Mari, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Thunder says, if this was a bunch of poor Black people doing this, would this even be news? Now, come on now. You know, it wouldn't be news. And, you know, as I was kind of watching the coverage yesterday, of course, it was all white news outlets. And I was thinking the same thing, Thunder. I was like, what's kind of making me mad about this whole thing from their standpoint is, all the stuff white people do, and you don't hardly hear them just hone in on the stuff that they do at all. But when it's some black people, they gonna, they gonna talk about it all the time and sensationalize it. And one thing I will say too, in regards to the coverage, now I've heard some people who were in the courtroom, they were very demonstrative in talking about how Diddy's lawyer got the male prostitute say, no, Cassie's the one that told me to, urinate. Y'all get it. Urinate. It wasn't Diddy. He said that. But then other outlets are reporting that Diddy made the male worker do that to Cassie. So it's like, why aren't y'all telling what actually happened? Why are you guys keep leading with, oh, Diddy made the prostitute do that to Cassie? So that to me is very telling. Anyway, let me read on because I know I'm behind. Laura Flawless, how you doing? He says, yeah, Daph knows 4 days is a long time to be in a freak off, right? Laura Flawless, she says, ain't nothing wrong with being a little freaky. He should be on bond or house arrest. Well, he got all that money in the plane and all that. So they're like, yeah, no. Johan, and how you doing? He says, shalom and peace, Demetra, and everyone in the chat. Yes, indeed. Sherry says, I truly believe her husband will look at her different after this trial, unless she already told him, right? He might even leave take those 3 babies, and I'll take some of that money that she got from Puffy, but I don't believe he will ever look at her the same. I would have just took my 30 million and went on my business. It truly did not need her for this war. In all fairness, it sounds like she didn't want to testify. I guess they subpoenaed her and made her do it. There's another person, I guess, that's supposed to testify, and they're like, I'm not showing up. We don't know who they are, but they say they ain't showing up. So I don't know. She doesn't sound like Cassie wanted to do that. Brother Sammy says, America. It says, fakes morality when it comes to condemning black people and getting other blacks to participate, yelling, crucify. We are the moral conscious of this country. Yeah, and I agree with you. Of course, I know you're not saying that Diddy should not be punished if indeed he did do those things. But I think the question is, to what degree is he guilty? Is he, a horrible person for doing the things that he's done to Cassie? Yeah, he is. But is he guilty of a crime syndicate? Because that's what they're saying. They're saying he used an enterprise of his staff and people to move things and coerce people and, all that kind of stuff. So right now, it just kind of sounds like they're trying a domestic violence case to me. Brother Reggie says if he was beating and forcing women or underage people to perform the acts, he needs to rot in jail, but being a freak is not a crime. I totally agree with you. Candy, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. VL, what's going on with you? Cynthia says there are some, my comment skipped up. Hold on a second, y'all. Let me get back. Sometimes they do that. Says they are some effing freaky folks. Yeah, I think that's kind of what it is, Brother Samuel says, however, who can be more barbaric and savage than which goes on in Hollywood and Washington, D.C. from the White House on down. Totally agree with you. But the other thing, too, is we know as black people in America, we can't do what they do and think we're going to get away with it, right? Because I don't think that Diddy is by himself and a lot of stuff that was going on. I think there's a whole lot of people above him that's been doing it. But, they like to catch up the people who are foolish enough to think that I'm going to get away with it, right? So, yeah. One who cares. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Mad Dog, what's going on with you? Says Cassie wasn't, you know what? I don't want to call Cassie that, but, and I don't know. That's not an unusual act either. A lot of people like somebody to relieve themselves on them. Why? I don't know, but they do, right? I don't know. Mad, he said they're all sick and disgusting as well. Karima, how you doing? Says disgusting. So everybody's like pretty disgusting. Unicorn Squad, how you doing? Says, girl, I didn't know you had this site. I follow you where you are at. Love your style. Well, thank you. And I love you for being here. Yeah, I've been on YouTube for quite a while. Usually I'm on here with Donovan, but my partner in crime, but his house is going through something, so I don't know. But thank you for being here. That's Edgy. How you doing? Says bonsoir, Demetra, and everyone in the chat. Yes, indeed. I think that's French. VLU says P do and who is that? And Thunder says, let me get this straight. These were grown adults that have all of their faculties. They were asked to do something and not at. He says pew pew point. They allegedly didn't want to do and they did it. Now I heard something about a pew pew. I don't quote me because it's kind of fuzzy. I don't want to say what it is because I don't really remember. But yeah, it sounds like a lot of people were willing. Of course, when there's money being exchanged and stuff like that, it's like, how much? Did he drink a lot of water today? I don't know. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. And that's what his defense is saying. Everybody consented is what the defense is saying. So really, all his defense team has to do is just poke some doubt in holes and put doubt. That's all they got to do. It shows some doubt. Like, yeah, I don't know. Rico was kind of strong, Let's see. Sunlight says, so a lot of guys get off on humiliation. That's a problem. Yeah, I guess. But to that other side of that, listen, I'm not advocating for none of it, or I'm just trying to kind of speak some sense, I guess. But there's a lot of women who like that, and so some people it's humiliating, some people is not. I personally wouldn't want nobody to do that to me, but it just depends on the eye of the beholder. To some people it's humiliating, some people it's just a golden shower. I don't know. CJ says, yikes, y'all see I'm a day ahead. Yikes. Okay. Unicorn Squad says R. Kelly got charged in the RICO case and was the only one who went to prison. Go figure. Yeah. And it sounds like there's a lot of other people who should have went with him. Parents, record executives, bodyguards, a whole bunch of other people should have went with him. But there he is, right? And it looks like maybe, I don't know, same thing will happen with Diddy. It remains to be seen. Grace Kelly, how you doing? Says engaging in prostitution is illegal. 100%. 100% illegal depending on where you are, right? Some places it's not. But yeah, it is. So, Brother Don, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Brother Samuel says, white America uses the same play card when it comes to neutralizing powerful black men who are gaining greater consciousness. Example, Mr. Cosby, Michael Jackson, Mr. Shannon Sharp, etc. Yeah. And some of those people, I don't think that Bill Cosby did what he's accused of doing. I think Bill Cosby was an immoral man. I think he cheated on his wife a lot. And those women knew he was married. You knew he was going to his house and all those things. But I just thought that Bill Cosby was foolish in that manner. You got a beautiful wife at home. You've been married to since the 50s, it sounds like maybe. And, you get in Hollywood and you get to acting kind of funny or whatever the case is, and he just got caught up. Now, Michael Jackson, clearly a lot of people lied on him because a lot of people came out and said, yeah, it was a lie. I was forced to lie. Obviously, he was found out guilty. A lot of conspiracy theories around that. And Shannon Sharp didn't do anything, well, from what he's saying, illegal. She's saying he did, but she didn't call the police. She wants $50 million. Same thing with Smokey Robinson. They didn't call the police. They want $50 million. I don't know. I can't tell people what to do, but if somebody did that to me, I'm calling my daddy and the po-po. Okay. And whoever get there first, let the chips fall where they're made. Hey, Sister Shirley, what's going on with you? As Edge says, looking at the big picture, I think them folks are proceeding, removing black celebrities one by one. If you don't believe me, watch who's going to be next. No, I think there's something to it. But at what point do you say, let me sit my black ass down? At what point do you do that? What point do you say, I got my money, let me go give me a wife and sit down? At what point do you say, they probably going to try to catch me up on something, so let me just sit down? You know what I mean? So some of that is on them. Especially if you're a black man in America with a lot of money and you got a target on your back, sit down. Stop the freak offs. Get you a wife. Have her put on 50-11 wigs throughout the week or whatever, But at some point in time, you got to take some accountability for the things that you walk into, The casting couch in Hollywood is as old as Hollywood. So these things aren't new. Unfortunately, a lot of these brothers get in there and think, oh, this is what we doing? Okay. Instead of saying, no, I'm good. My wife's at home, I don't know. Thunder says, I guess it would be difficult to tell the police as a man that a strange man forced me to have with some of America's most beautiful women and they gave me drug money. I want to file a report. Well, sounds like the male prostitute, maybe he got subpoenaed. So I don't even know if it was something he was even trying to be involved in. He just got, subpoenaed. But he did say for what the testimony came out that when Cassie opened the door, she was like one of the most beautiful women that he'd ever seen. So he was kind of taken aback by that, and then they did what they did. Eddie, how you doing? Says this is white people's culture. Stop following the oppressor. I should have read your comment. Sagittarius Goddess says, I thought it was said that he forced her to do that. See, that's what I'm saying. So some news outlets are saying Diddy forced her to do it, but then other ones, like I'll give you a perfect example. Lauren LaRosa of the Breakfast Club, and like she was formerly of TMZ. She's been in there and she said no. That without a doubt, the male prostitute was like, no, Diddy didn't have me do it. Cassie asked me to do it. But as again, a lot of other people are making it the other way around. So it's like, why would Lauren lie about that? You know what I mean? Because you could get the transcripts. I guess that's when we'll find out. Mad Dog, he says Diddy is of the Rainbow Tribe. And I guess the male prostitute was saying, Cassie told him, don't worry about him touching you or anything like that. He's not, let's say, homosexual. He just wants to watch. So that's what the male escort was saying, that she clarified that with him. It doesn't sound like he ever got involved with any of the prostitutes from what we hear so far. I don't know. Thunder says, how in the world can you have a one-man Rico? Please explain. There you go. Hey, M, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Juggernaut, how you doing? Says Suge Knight alleged Diddy to be an info man for them alphabets. I don't know. He might be, right? He might. Cynthia says, I heard through the grapevine that a woman from Michigan is also involved in suing Diddy for sex and drugs trafficking. One way or another, P. Diddy or Diddy is going to reap what he sowed. I totally agree. If he did all those things, he should, and he's going to reap what he sowed. But it should also be said that a lot of those cases, those lawsuits have been dismissed. Like the one Lil Rod, what's his name? Lil Rodney or Rodney somebody. I don't know. He had that one that just, blew up all over the internet. I think it was last year sometime, and they had everybody like reading it and stuff. That one was dismissed with all the things that he alleged, but it was just a civil suit. It wasn't like a criminal lawsuit. It was a civil suit. He was asking for money, and a lot of those cases have been dismissed. So I don't know. Selena, how you doing? He says Clyde Davis will most likely die a free criminal. You ain't lying, because the last time I saw him, he was. I'm Clive Davis, so yeah, he up there. So you're right, but those are the ones that get away with it. And nobody's heard anything else about Harvey Weinstein at all. Have y'all? Now, I know they dropped one of the cases or whatever, and I think that's probably what they're going to slowly do and say, oops, well, we didn't have enough evidence, even though he was kind of like the kingpin in modern day. He was kind of the man of Me Too, right? But you ain't heard nothing else about him. Sherry says Puffy should have stayed out of politics, and maybe Trump would have probably helped him out. And he says, and the Democrat CNN is dogging him out. He says, and I have a black woman, or they have a black woman to do it. Okay, that's what you're saying. Yeah, because he has that, I guess, vote or die was his campaign, and he's big time Democrat. Yeah, because it's a federal trial. Trump probably, if he did get found guilty, Trump probably could say, yeah, we pardoning him. He probably could, but yeah, he was romping and stomping for the Democrats. Johanan, you says Trump, Clinton, Prince Andrew were all on Epstein Island, but somehow it's only black men who have consequences in prison time. Yeah, because the system wasn't designed for black men. It was designed to protect white men. It was their system, And yeah, I believe every last one of them. And y'all know that lady who said that Prince Andrew did something to her. Y'all know she turned up dead. Said she, took her own life. But I saw somewhere where she made a post. I don't know how authentic it is, but if something happened to me, I didn't take my own life. And it sounds like a couple of weeks or a week or so before that happened, somebody tried to run her over. So I don't know. But she's always said that, yeah, it was a lot of things going on Epstein Island. It sounds like she was underage when it was going on with her. Brother Todd, how you doing? Says Tyler Perry need to put out a whole documentary on Netflix about this Diddy mess with the A-list actors. Well, it sounds like 50 Cent is got the rights to do it on Netflix. I don't know, maybe he's waiting for the end of the trial to take place, but he wanted the rights from Netflix to do it. So yeah. All right, let's see who else is on here. M says that part these people were on some come up mess. potentially. Brother Reggie says, I dated a woman years ago who liked that, no judgment. Okay, back to Pete. You know what? Not P-E-E, Diddy. Antoine, how you doing? Says, I'm reserving all judgment until all the facts are released, but Diddy is guilty. Yeah, and I'm like that too. I just, try to keep up with the case, kind of because that's in the lane that I'm in. I try to reserve all of my judgment to I guess to the final judgment, right? Till you hear everything. I think Diddy is guilty of a lot of things, but is he guilty of a RICO? I don't know. It's kind of like, is he? I don't know. Negroes, how you doing? Nate, how you doing? It says the Diddy distraction. Yeah, he's a distraction. But we always distracted. But in that same lane, we can walk and chew bubble gum at the same time, right? I think if anything is to be had from this is get somewhere and sit down. Okay. Get somewhere and sit down. See, R. Kelly, when he got that Hail Mary, when he was found not guilty, he didn't sit down. He kept on with the foolishness, and now he's probably never going to get out. Samurai Dak, how you doing? Says prostitution was legal in Jackson Heights a few months ago. Now, when you say Jackson Heights, exactly where is Jackson Heights in America? Grumpy Arthur, how you doing? Said he thinks as himself as a music industry kingpin, in my opinion, or thinks himself as that. Yeah, well, that's what he is, right? And he allegedly was doing something strange. Thunder says urinating is a bit too much for me. What if the person is on a strict diet? You crazy. Ugh. Broccoli and tuna and coffee, just the thought of the smell, right? You're going to need to drink some water. Sunlight says shower and toilet are two different things. Yeah. I ain't never heard nobody having that happen. Like, I'm going to be quiet because I have questions, but they're not for here. Okay, let's see. M says the only one that should matter is the spouse. If he ain't mad, why should anybody else be staying in your lane? And I would hope she would have told him, hey, you're going to hear some funky stuff when you go up in there. It sounds like they may also want him to testify too. Negro says, what about the FO tapes? Which celebrity politicians are on? I don't know. Mad Dog says R. Kelly is in prison for videotaping himself peeing, relieving himself on a minor. I don't think he's in jail for that because he was found out guilty for that. But sounds like, some RICO stuff as well. Kidnapping and just, bunch of stuff, I guess. I don't know. Let's see. Star Jammer, how are you doing? He says, I'm just waiting for him to pull the freak off people. I gave a damn about the Cassie case. He says, where are them Hollywood celebrities? Well, they might come out. Somebody might name drop, right? Oh, no, Em, nah, you're not Denzel. Nah, better not be no Denzel. Next, Sister Marcella, how you doing? He says, have you all taken notice that they do not talk about Hugh Hefner? All of the these white men that did worse. He says, they say you have not had young underage girls that he didn't have. They say you have not had young underage girls at his mansion. You don't see them dogging him. So you're talking about Hugh Hefner. Well, I've heard people bring his name up, but he's dead. But I'd imagine there's a lot of allegations that came out of the Playboy Mansion. But yeah, like you said, he's white. Or he was anyway. Grumpy Arthur says, I think Diddy watched one too many Hollywood movies. Yeah, and he thought he could get in where he fit in, Yeah, Larry Flint was one of them. Pixie Glam, how you doing? Say, y'all know these trials take time, 8 weeks. We're on day 2. Yeah, they said it could be several weeks. And he's got a pretty impressive team, of people that's really trying to poke holes in a lot of the stuff that the prosecution is alleging. But it sounds like they just got it all out the way in their opening statements. The defense was like, yeah, he's an abuser and he's a freak. But is he running a crime syndicate? No, that's what his team is saying. Jay Legend, how you doing? Let's see. Let me skip down so I can catch up. Brother Reddy says Smokey Robinson is 85 years old and probably 50 to 60 years older than those charging him. His old butt can't force anybody to do anything. Yeah, I think that's where a lot of people are going like, come on, Smokey. And yeah, he's 85. Entree, thank you for the donation. Love it. Appreciate you for that. Thank you, and welcome. Let's see. Brother Samuel, you say the point where they come out of receiving an education that corrupts the golden chalices. It says that we must be quarantined from the wickedness of this country and educate our own. Yeah, again, people need to get and sit down somewhere. You know, this ain't for me. Let them do that, right? Still, how you doing? Says Weinstein is Oprah's best buddy, and Michelle Obama and Whoopi, right? They was all thick as thieves. There was even one model who said that Oprah like gave her to Harvey Weinstein. That's what she's saying. I'm gonna say allegedly, but that's what the model is saying. She introduced me as pretty much like here. And then it sounds like whatever he did to her from that point, but she cited Oprah's name. Thunder says, are they going to bring up charges on the people having LGBT freak offs? Or is it only when black men having with women? It's Hollywood. You're telling me it's only matters unless it's LGBT. I don't know, right? We all know that a lot of just weirdness goes on, Hollywood, right? A lot of that goes on, but Diddy, it should know better. You know what I mean? Especially they saw what happened to R. Kelly, and nobody thought maybe I should. Y'all see Russell Simmons? He was like, "I'm gonna be in Bali where they don't have an extradition policy. I'm over there now." Because you know Oprah and them was trying to gin up the mob about him doing some things like from the 90s, right? And he was like, "I'm out. Y'all ain't finna catch me up." So maybe they should. I don't know, take a clue from him. I don't know. You crazy. I was talking about Tyler was probably there. Tyler Perry. Ooh. Brother Sam says, what about freaky Mr. David Geffen and his twinks of blonde headed teenage white boy? Ooh, I don't know nothing about that. But yeah, they ain't trying to. He's like music royalty, right? LaShondra, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. All right, let me skip down. Y'all know I'm so behind. Marjorie, how you doing? Vinny Van, what's going on? It says, hi, D, long time no see. Oh, thank you. Appreciate you. He says, one love from New York. I think that video has everyone disgusted with Diddy, the Diddy one with Cassie. Yeah, that one, you can't explain that away. But it sounds like his defense team was like, okay, yes, he's an abuser. It happened. He's an abuser. He's a horrible dude. But is he guilty of RICO? So they're just getting that out the way. We're not disputing what y'all saw. We're not going to clean it up and say, well, what happened was, because they're also trying to paint the picture that they were violent to each other. How true it is, I don't know, but that's the kind of what they're trying to paint. All right, let's see. Oh, I got to the bottom. Okay, I'm shocked. All right, Thunder, you say, question, what's next? They're going to start charging men in their 20s and 30s with elderly abuse for exclusively dating cougars and silver lynxes? I hope not. I just think you should be careful. I think you should be careful. And I know you can't always be careful because you don't know what people are plotting for you or on you. But, as they say in the nation, settle down to a good choice. Settle down to a good choice, a good man, a good woman. Don't venture out. Just sit down and y'all go do life together, okay? Y'all go build something, have some beautiful children, and stay together. Especially, and even if you don't have anything to lose, like a lot of money and stuff, especially if you got a lot of things to lose, you got money and stuff, and you out there, giving money to all kind of women, and if you're a woman and you're doing that, dudes, eventually somebody's gonna say, well, I don't think I got paid enough. I think I need a little bit more money. You're rich, you're a billionaire. I should have more for what you had me do, right? Some people have buyer's remorse. I don't know. Maybe it's a case of this. I don't know. Some people just have buyer's remorse and say, yeah, I didn't like that. I need a little something for it. I'm not saying that's what Cassie did. I think that she's a victim to some degree. But was she also complicit? I think that's where the defense is trying to get to. Still says Denzel wouldn't kiss Julia Roberts in the 90s, and but would kiss a man in 2025. Oh, that messed me up. I did see the movie Gladiator. It was good, but I was like, Denzel. But as some people was explaining it, I'm not explaining it that way. I didn't like seeing Denzel kiss a man, but during those times, during the Roman, Empire and things like that, they were very. Today I'm with a woman and today I'm with a man, right? That was their nature. So I don't know if that was why that was in there, but I didn't like that at all. But you're right. he made a big thing of that. He wouldn't kiss a white woman. But to see that is like, Denzel, why? So I get it. Negro says Sean Penn just came out and said Woody Allen is innocent until proven guilty. I guess. Now, he ran off with a stepdaughter or his adopted daughter. She wasn't even a stepdaughter, his adopted daughter when she was 18. Legal, but gross. Like, this was your child, essentially. You know what I mean? But innocent of what? You know? I don't know. Margie says Hugh Hefner and Larry Flint started the escort sex trafficking business. Playboy magazine was their top tier best-selling business. All the actors and sports stars hung around the Playboy quarters. Oh yeah, especially in the 70s, the 60s, and 80s when it was in its heyday. So absolutely. Mission Vision, how you doing? Don't need, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Michelle, how you doing? Says no one is reporting on the twins from New York who was arrested right after Diddy for rape. He says their names are Alan and Orrin Alexander. I never even heard of it, so I'm gonna write it down. I never even heard of the case, so there's just a lot of stuff out there, to be honest with you. And I see a lot of stuff, but then a lot of stuff I don't see. Alex and Alan and Orrin Alexander. Okay, I wrote it down so I could look into it. Jay Legend says America has an agenda to destroy Black FBA men. That's always been the case. This is nothing new. This has been the case since the plantation. Nothing's ever changed. Now, have degrees of it changed? Yes, but none of this has never changed. It's always been the same. It's always been the same. So why do we move as though they don't have a bounty on us? You know, especially Black men. I agree. Is a target on you all the time. So why not move that way? Why get in the pool, the cesspool with them doing those things, and then when it all, you know, the water drains, there your Black self is standing there and they're all saying, he did it. Why put yourself in that situation and you can avoid it, you know? But totally. Negro says, y'all watch Freaky Tales. It's so good. Think Kill Bill meets Friday. Freaky Tales. And which Freaky Tales are you speaking of? Diane says she was not a victim. She kept coming back. And I guess that's kind of what's been said or will be said, that a lot of the people who said Diddy was doing some things kept returning. But as she said, Cassie, in her, you know, lawsuit, that he would have people find her when she would leave and things like that and bring her back. So I don't know, but he's not on trial. I don't think he's on trial for Cassie at all. I don't know. Robert, how you doing? Marjorie, you say Hollywood was a Playboy's dream, casting girls underage who ran away from home to be stars. Yet it's white, and they say so. Privilege, status, and pedophilia went hand in hand with the movies. Oh, absolutely. All the way back to Shirley Temple. Like, I saw a documentary on Shirley Temple, and I was a kid. I wasn't a kid in the 30s, right? I wasn't born until the 70s, but I remember being a kid and watching, you know, her movies and things like that. But then as I got older and I saw a documentary about it, it was very creepy because of the way they would dress her and things like that. And her love interest was always this man. She's, you know, 5 or so, give or take at the time, but her love interest was always a man. And, you know, it wasn't like a love interest like they were going out, but, you know, she's, oh gosh, Bob. And he's like, oh, Shirley, you're so sweet. But they talked about it in it being wrapped in, you know, pedophilia, because the way they would dress her with the little short, little cute dresses and the ruffles on her underwear and the little bobby socks, and all of her legs are showing. And when you really look at it, yeah, they exploited her, you know. So it goes back all the way then. And I think it was Elizabeth Taylor. I think she told the story. And I watch a lot of documentaries as well, stuff about her. She says, now, because she got into Hollywood when she was young. You know, she's very beautiful, those like violet color eyes and things like that. She says when her and her mom went to, I forget what Hollywood studio it was, she said she was in one room talking to one of the executives, the higher ups of the movie studio. Their mom was in another. And the room that her mom was in, the executive was trying to get her to do some things. And then Elizabeth Taylor was saying the executive she was talking to was trying to get her to do some things. So obviously they said no. And then she said when they both came out the room, they kind of exchanged stories. It was like, well, damn, you know. So that was kind of a common theme. And Elizabeth Taylor was a kid. So yeah. Let's see. Meska, how you doing? He says Sean Combs is going to be acquitted because it's hard for him to get a fair and impartial trial because of his fame. Just my thoughts. That might be a case because who doesn't know who Diddy is, right? I think everybody kind of knows, but he's got 8 men, 4 women. So there might be a man on it that's like, no, he just needs one, from what I understand. Sarai says Jackson Heights is in Queens, New York, where Biden's migrants were soliciting prostitution. Where's his RICO charge? Got it. Cynthia says the Roman Empire was very freaky. Yes, just historically speaking. Rodney, how you doing? Says good evening, Queen Demetra. And how are you doing today? I'm doing well. I was a little tired today. I was running around. You guys know I'll be in Ohio next Friday. So not this Friday, next Friday with the African Diaspora News Channel. If you're there, come by and say hi at the Ohio Black Expo. And I've been trying to find something to wear. Wasn't really feeling anything. So I had to get out there today. I was like, I got to get something. So I kind of ran around a little bit. It's very hot. But I'm feeling okay. Thank you. Now that you want to know all that. Negro says Woody Allen was accused of molesting Mia Farrow's daughter. Oh, yeah. But they ain't going to do nothing. I mean, Roman Polanski, right? He is the one that was found guilty of doing very heinous things to a 13-year-old model who was, entrusted in his care. He's supposed to be filming her, taking photos of her, and he ended up, doing what he shouldn't have done to her. Found guilty. And it sounds like the judge was in the bathroom and somebody connected to Roman Polanski's case overheard the judge telling somebody else, yeah, I'm going to throw the book at him. So, of course, you guys know then Roman Polanski fled to Poland or wherever he's from. And I don't think he came back. Maybe they extradited him, I think, in 2013, but he was gone for decades, right? But while he was gone, he was making movies and he was getting Oscars. Even though they knew he was found guilty of doing that to a 13-year-old, he was making movies and all these stars were in the movies and he was winning Oscars. Sister Khadijah, how you doing? I hope that you are doing well today and, feeling even if it's just a tiny bit better. I hope that for you. It says, I hate we keep saying as women, we have a choice, but not in cases like this. So he says, yeah, that's why I said too, I think there was a lot of coercion going on. I think so. I mean, even with the age gap, Cassie was 19 or so when they met. I don't know. So that's kind of young. And I guess too, for when she was on the stand, she was saying was her first, real adult relationship. And to that magnitude of all things, right? So yeah. MC007, what's going on? She says Diddy and R. Kelly have become scapegoats for the DNC's missteps. He says bearing the brunt of the fallout of their actions. I'll buy that they're a scapegoat, but you don't study history. You don't see what they do to people, especially people that look like you. Why do you keep getting in the way of people being able to say you're doing such things? You know what I mean? And I agree. I don't think it should just be them. I think there's a whole lot of other people they could go after while they're going after them, but they should know better. They know that's never going to be the case. Black people are always going to be the fall guy or girl. Michelle says Heidi Flynn was a superstar. Heidi Fleiss, yeah. He says was looked at as a superstar when she was a madam selling young girls to wealthy men. Yeah, she had the black book that she didn't want to give up and she went to jail. She didn't want to give up her client list. Yep, Heidi Fleiss. Thunder says, can you imagine Mildred on the stand and he came and said he came over and made me fry some catfish and the hush puppies and we watched Matlock. And when it was over, he broke out a tube of Bengay and he rubbed me down. Well, she probably should be your wife. You know what I mean? I don't know. Brother Reggie says Woody Allen was grooming that young girl since she was 12. His weird should have been in jail. Yeah, when I heard about that, I just thought that was like, how do you even do that? You know, how do you go off and marry your adopted daughter? So you never saw her as your daughter. You know, it's just crazy. As Eddie says, it's in false culture for men to greet each other with a deep kiss in the mouth. The communists and he says they practice it. Is that what you're saying? Talking about Rome, yeah, that was their practice. Narma, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Says a lot of times I don't feel bad for these celebrities, while at the same time condemning the pale skin recessive enemy. Yeah, I mean, they knew what they was getting into, right? I mean, you know you're doing wrong. You shouldn't be doing it. I don't care what color you are, but yeah, you know, if you're black, you're probably not gonna get away with it. Pixie Glam says doing too much. These men wait until they get money to start doing all this abnormal, crazy mess. Yeah, I agree with you. You know, somebody gonna talk eventually. I know they have these non-disclosures, but you know what I learned from one of my bosses back at Frito-Lay long time ago? He says, just know that everybody has a friend that ain't gonna tell nobody, right? But I'm gonna tell you something, but don't tell nobody. And that friend is nobody. Yeah. No, I ain't gonna tell nobody. Okay. And then you tell them, right? And then they got a friend, what? That ain't gonna tell nobody. So all these nobodies, I ain't gonna say nothing. Yeah. What? And then it gets out, right? So if there's something you don't want nobody to know, don't tell them. And if it's something you don't want nobody to know you're doing, you probably shouldn't be doing it. Because NDAs are cool, but somebody gonna talk. Non-disclosure agreements, which means you ain't supposed to say what you was up in here doing, right? Mad Dog, he says, y'all know we can't do what they do. They have the complexion for protection. Yeah. Let's see who else is on here. I know I'm a little bit behind. Rose H2O, how you doing? Says that Judy Garland. Yes, that's who told the story. Was not Elizabeth Taylor, was Judy Garland. I think it was. But yeah, she was telling the story about how her and her mama was both getting ran up on by the Hollywood executives, and she was a kid, you know. So imagine all the stories that they went to the grave with. And Rena Moreno, she has a great documentary on Netflix. I like watching documentaries of old Hollywood stars, and she has a good one. And she talked about how her agent, I think she was 15, 16, because her and her mom came over here, very young age. You know, she was in West Side Story in the 50s. Said they came over here to pursue acting. They were trying to make her the Puerto Rican Elizabeth Taylor. Said she was going to a party, an industry party, something like that with her agent. So the agent came over, he was picking her up. That's what he's supposed to be doing. Well, he did the unthinkable to her. And then when he was done, he says, are you ready to go? So she didn't know what to do or what to think. You know, she said that, like, how do you even process this? This is my agent. He's supposed to be looking out for me. And he did that to me. And then she said she would go to parties and all these industry people, executives would be propositioning her. She said one time she went to a party and one of the Hollywood executives asked her to go outside to the garden to talk. And he was trying to really, you know, get up on her. Mind you, she's a minor. And she says, my people, her people were the gardeners. So Latinos, they had to make him stop. But he was just going to try to do what he was going to do to her in front of, you know, I guess the help, if you will. But she said the gardeners was like, hey, you need to leave her alone. But that's how free they were to do that to them back in those days, you know. It's crazy. Pixie Glammy says, right, the system ain't making y'all pee on people. Wow. Grace Kelly says, when you're dealing with a man with money and you don't have the money he has, resources, and he has the resources to track you down. Well, that's what she was saying, that he would track her down. Sherelle, how you doing? Says, I don't understand why our black men with wealth and power believe they are untouchable. Pride. You're absolutely right. You can't be, you not like them, right? Brother Ray says, I remember on Little Rascals, Norman, aka Chubsy, Ubsy, he says, had a crazy crush on his teacher, Miss Crabtree. He says, man, directors and producers been wild. Yeah, if you look back at some of those things that the positions, not like that, but they had the kids in, it's like, you look at it from an adult standpoint, it's like, they shouldn't have been having them kids do that. But so on one level it's for the kids, but on another level it's for them type of people, right? Which is why you should be careful. If you got kids, be careful what you do with your children. There's this little girl named Miss Shirley. It's a little black girl. I think she's like 3 or 4. And she's doing the boots on the ground. Y'all probably seen her all over. Her mama is full on exploiting this little girl. She's doing things on the internet she should not be doing at all. And people are hiring this little girl, to do shows and stuff. And she's gyrating. And I'm like, where daddy at? Where grandmama? Somebody to say, hey, this is a child. And why are y'all high? So you have to be careful, because there's people out there that's just like, all right. So I don't know. All right, let me skip down, y'all. See, I'm at an hour. I'm gonna get everybody's comments. Sherry says, I don't feel sorry for her because she left her boyfriend Ryan Leslie. Is that he talking about? And he says she was in love. That was in love with her. That was also Puffy's so-called friend to get with Puffy after she left him. His life went to hell. It was all about the money. Yeah, but you got to remember, too, she was 19. Ryan Leslie was probably young as well. Diddy, a little bit more certain as he's got some age on him, been in the industry. Sounds like, I don't know if they were together. I heard that they weren't, but I guess Cassie was kind of like his artist. That's kind of the relationship I heard that they had. So I don't know. Brother James, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. He says, great job. Hope to see you in Memphis at some point. May Allah continue to bless you. Yeah, I'd love to go to Memphis. Yeah, I would love to do that. Speaking into existence, Demetra K is going to Memphis. There you go. Sister Khadijah, he says, and she felt bringing, he says, if she felt bringing with a man twice, with a man twice her age was okay, then her mother, aunts, and sisters failed her. The community failed her. I totally agree with you. Where were all the aunties and mom? It sounded like he, maybe did some nice things for her parents. I don't know, but I'm with you. At what point do you have an auntie or somebody say, this ain't cool? I don't care who he is. He a little too old for you. You need to go somewhere and sit down, But unfortunately, when people had that kind of money, because they said the same thing about R. Kelly. He was, here's a rack for you, and here's a stack for you. And people was like, I'm not going to say nothing, right? But I agree with you. AB Promotions, how you doing? Long time no see. Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for the donation. Denzel, you're not Denzel Washington. He says, Puff Daddy had a beautiful girl like Kim Porter. What's wrong with that guy? Yeah, and there's some speculations out there that potentially he did something to her. I don't know. It's just a lot going on. But, Kim Porter was with Albie Shore. So it sounds like, from what people are saying, I don't know, I don't speculate, that P. Diddy has a habit of acquiring other men's women, from what it sounds like. So I don't know. Norma says, I was talking to a brother about NDAs. He didn't understand that ish don't work. Yeah, I mean, we all got a friend we gonna tell, okay? I don't care who you are. Don't say nothing, but this is what I was doing. And of course, I'm gonna tell somebody. Marjorie says, centuries of pedophilia came from European countries and were introduced to America. Prime example, says the Latter-day Saints Church. He says Catholic Church. That's why some white people came to America or get by the kings. Okay. Denzel says justice for Notorious B.I.G. and Tupac. Yeah, those allegations out there as well. Brother Don says Hollywood, Babylon. You ain't lying. Michelle says Lil Wayne put out his girlfriend and her daughter on Mother's Day. She knows she was never attracted to him. Now she's out on the street. She's crying foul. Some black men never learn. Yeah, I didn't even know he was with that woman. I did see that, and I guess she's trying to say he was abusive to her or something. It's like, okay, the man put you out the house. I mean, was he abusive to you? Did he just put you out the house? I don't know. It seems like to me, you living with somebody who got that kind of money you put out and you ain't got, a window to throw it out of. See, you wasn't smart, because I'd have been stacking on them, okay? I'm going to the store, like the older ladies used to do, and they used to peel a little bit off and do what they needed to do. All right, let's see. HDLC, how you doing? S. Edu says, how old is Diddy? I think he's 57. So he's up there, and Cassie's 38 now. So it sounds like she was like 19 when they first met and all that other stuff. So that's a significant age gap, 19 year old age gap rather. Um, Mad Dog says, "Yep, R. Kelly and R. Kelly did Aaliyah mother like that." Yeah, so I don't know if the mama know. I heard. I don't know. I don't know why you would allow your 15-year-old child to be married to a grown man. I don't know. Sometimes money talks. Yeah, how much? I wouldn't marry my 15-year-old daughter off to no grown man, but I don't know. If that was the case with Aaliyah's mom, I don't know if that's true. Some people's moral compass is way off, right? They'll say, well, you're gonna take care of her, aren't you? And what's love got to do with it? I know a lot of that was fiction, but Tina's mom, when Tina took off, and then Tina called home, and she was like, her mom was like, "Oh, well, Ike bought me a house. He bought me a house. I have to tell him where you were. He bought me a house." I wouldn't have given my daughter up, but Sherry says, and the parents in R. Kelly's case were okay with it, just like Cassie's parents were okay with it being with Puffy. As long as the family members are getting money, they will look the other way. Yeah, and that's sad. They shouldn't be doing that. I think you should care more about your child than you do money and the stuff that will buy, because somebody's willing to buy your child, they're more than likely not going to treat them right? Because you're buying people. That's essentially what you're doing. That's, to me, where the conversation, if you want to talk about some trafficking, maybe to some degree, maybe that loosely, you wouldn't be able to build a case, obviously, but you're essentially selling your kid off for money, Let's see, 48 TCO, how you doing? Says Diddy and all them folks freaky freaks, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree with you. Sagittarius Goddess says, I thought she was younger when they first met. No, I don't think she was a minor. I think she was 19. Makaya, I hope I said that right. How you doing? Says, yep, Tina's mom didn't care about anything but the money. Was just thinking that, yeah, she's like, he bought me a house. What you want me to do? Oh, he's a good man. He all right. Just try to just get along. That's, Jennifer Lewis played her mom in the movie, where she was perfect for that, right? But yeah, from that point of view, it sounds like the mom was like, listen, I don't know what to tell you. Ike seemed like he all right to me. I don't see, because, even in the movie, kind of seemed like the mama was, oh, really? When he said, oh, fine woman like you. The mom, didn't seem like she'd have a problem being with him. So I don't know. Yeah, Norma, I mean, but arrest the parent, yeah, especially if they're underage, but if they're adults, you know what I mean? Probably not much you could do there. Robert says this ish needs to be, he says, sired. He says, but it's also depressing. Cheers to you, Demetria. Make it bearable. I don't know how you make this bearable at all, I just kind of feel like if you make your bed, you got to lie in it. That's kind of the way it works. You have to pay for the things that you've done. Now, if it's time for Diddy to pay the piper, what can we do? I like a lot of Diddy's music. I like, a lot of things that he's done, but I don't like a lot of things that he's been accused of doing, And to me, there's a lot of people that got the same story about him, especially a lot of people that's worked with him. They got that same story. So would they all conspire together and say, oh, let's say Diddy did this. So I think he's a horrible human in a lot of ways, but did he do this? I think that's the question. And I think that's probably a hard job for the jurors, because they got to stay here we got to focus on this, not Notorious B.I.G., Tupac, and, all the other people, I'll be sure. We got to stay here with that. That would be kind of hard to have to cancel out all the other noise, but they have to. That's the job that they're tasked with doing. Marjorie says, why Clive Davis hasn't been charged with anything? Because them folks. He in like Flynn. Those are his folks, right? And without really getting into too much of it, most of y'all already know the history of Hollywood. Most of y'all already know who owns Hollywood and, all of that. So that's Clive's folks. They have written the rules. Now with Hollywood, one of my favorite movies of all time is LA Confidential. If you've never seen that movie, I think that is probably one of the truest depictions of Hollywood, law enforcement, and politics. That's one of the truest depictions, I think, in a movie form of how it went down. I set in the 50s, Hollywood, Los Angeles, with all the things that kind of went on there. If you watch that, a lot of the stuff will start to make sense. It's a great movie. I Negro just say, yeah, love that movie. I've watched it a countless amount of times, but it's a great movie. Brother Ray says, oh, I remember that movie. It was good. Yeah, if you watch it again, a lot of the stuff you're seeing now, you'll be like, okay, I see the correlation. So I say all that to say is that they all like that, right? They all think it's thieves. So, you know, you own the movie industry, then you got the connections, right? Brother Don says, I don't think they owe when they were made aware that had it annulled. He says her mother was her manager and was her new merchandise manager. So, okay, so he says when they were, so you don't think, okay, got you. I get what you're saying. Says you don't think they knew. They being Aaliyah's parents didn't know. And that's what I heard when they found out they did get it annulled, right? They lied, somebody, whoever it was, lied about her age and all that, obviously, right? Because you can't be married at 15, I don't think, unless, you know, legally that happens. Key Noble says Puffy will no longer be all up in the videos dancing on the records. You crazy. As Eddie says, it reminds me the movie Coming to America. Eddie Murphy had his picture printed on the money enough to convince his wife's parents and kicked out the old lover, right? Robert, he says, it's a plot twist. They're all guilty. That part. They're all guilty. Anigo says Russell Crowe and Kim Basinger. Yes. Great movie. And Kevin Spacey was also in there. You know, he got in some trouble with the whole Me Too thing. Was found not guilty, but I saw not too long ago where he said he's broke. I guess he was getting evicted and all kind of stuff. But, you know, Kevin Spacey was that dude, right? He got caught up in the Me Too stuff. But yeah, they were all in that movie. Danny DeVito, a great movie. LA Confidential. And 48 TCO says the women in those days took a lot of foolishness from men. Dorothy Dandridge talked about it in her book. She says that especially the black actresses, she said it was all known. They all knew that even if you were going to audition for the role of a mammy or something like that, she said those Hollywood executives, and these were her words, expected us to drop our panties for them. It was just a given. Even if you were going to audition for a role, that was going to come into the conversation. And she says, yeah, I mean, that's how she ended up with Otto Preminger. He was a director, you know, and he was a married director. And he's also with her. They were kind of out in the open, but not out in the open, but everybody kind of knew, you know, that he was married. She had several, you know, abortions due to, you know, him impregnating her. It's a lot, you know, but she says that was just kind of a given, that they were expected to do that to get any type of role. It was. So it's very predatory industry, even back then. And, you know, it goes on now, probably a little bit more quieter since then women got up in there with the Me Too movement or whatever. HDLC says, thanks for the tip. LA Confidential on my list this week. I'm telling you, you're going to love it. It's one of my favorite movies. I like the soundtrack. Again, it's set in the 50s. Awesome movie. It's like on my top 10 list of movies. LA Confidential. Bernard, how you doing? Says, love that movie, LA Confidential. Hey, Bakari, how you doing? So I was talking about LA Confidential. AB Promotion says Danny DeVito got pimp slapped. Yeah, I ain't gonna give away the movie, but that movie has a lot. Even Danny DeVito's character, we see his character today. I ain't gonna give away the movie, but you see his character and who he was working with, getting his intel, right? But y'all watch the movie and then you'll know what I'm talking about. Thunder says, yep, I know for a fact I've seen people conspire against someone they don't like, and when the facts come out, they all say in unison, well, that's what someone told me. I do my best to look at evidence. There you go. It's like playing that game telephone when we were all in elementary school. Y'all ever played a game telephone? So I might say, the tree is green. And then by the time it gets all the way around, it might be the Jolly Green Giant ate all the green beans, you know? So yeah, it's just word kind of gets around, but then it gets botched. Marcella says Elvis Presley married his wife and she was only 16. Think about it. I heard that they were kind of got to know each other at that age, but sounds like they got married when she was legal. Don't quote me. I don't know. Brother Don says he says, oh, okay, you were her merchandise manager, but she passed before we could go out on a tour. Interesting. He's talking about Aaliyah. Okay, so you're saying for a fact you know that her parents didn't know, and when they did, they know because you were in the inner circle. Interesting. Michelle, he says LA Confidential. Yep. Micaiah says, I will watch that movie. I'm telling y'all gonna love it. You're gonna be mad that you haven't watched it soon. I think it came out in 98 or somewhere around there, 98, 97. Y'all gonna be mad that y'all ain't watched this movie. It is a classic. Yes, I Negroes, a casting couch. Marjorie says the Black Dahlia case was never solved in Hollywood. Why? Because it was white privilege, and any woman was never important to the rich and powerful. They were considered beneath them, ready to be essayed and abused. Yeah, nobody ever found out what happened to Black Dahlia. She was found, beheaded. I think it was in Los Angeles. Yeah, and they never found out, what happened to her. Did they ever find out who she was? I know there was some speculations as to who she was, but they never found out what happened to her. But people got a lot of speculations, of course. Bakari says, remind me of Lady in a Blue Dress. And that's Walter. Last name skips my mind. He's a Black author. His name is Walter. His last name skips my mind, and I'm gonna be mad when I find y'all put it in the chat. Mad Dog says, let's see if Diddy can do Suge Knight like he did Cassie on that video. What are you talking about? If they are like cellmates, I think they not even in the same place, because that would be interesting, right? Oh, so LA Confidential is on Hulu. There you go. I owned the DVD, but I had a house fire and lost it. But yeah, 97 is when it came out. Thank you, Bakari. Yeah, Marilyn Monroe. Y'all know she was in with them Kennedy boys. And so I saw a documentary about her on Netflix too. It was pretty interesting. Rollo Tomasi. See, AB didn't watch the movie. Rollo Tomasi. I ain't gonna tell y'all about Rollo Tomasi, but Rollo Tomasi, and you'll probably have heard people use that term before, like in real life. But when you watch the movie, then it'll make sense as to why people use the term. It's a name, Rollo Tomasi. But yeah, interesting. Walter Mosley. I knew it was going to disturb me. Yes, Devil in a Blue Dress. So anyway, thank you, all Negroes and HDLC. Anyway, I'm gonna get out of here, y'all. I'm gonna track Walter down and see if he's coming on the show tomorrow. Donovan said he would be on the show tomorrow because he had something to do to his house. He had to get the whole house electrically wired or something. So obviously he doesn't have any internet or electricity, but I'm going to try to track Walter down and see if we can come on here and have a conversation with you all. Thank you, One Who Cares, for asking everybody to hit the like button. In the meantime, you guys have a great rest of your day. And I will see you tomorrow. If not, definitely one of these other days this week. Sherry says, I just hope it's some Black jurors. We don't know. But it's got 8 men. But I should also say, just because there's 8 men on there, that don't mean they're automatically going to say, well, he ain't guilty. Because some men might be like, nah, I know a mama, a sister, a daughter, a friend, whatever, that's something like that has happened to, and they might be sympathetic. So it's really, you never know, right? But he definitely has a dream team. That's for sure. Anyway, love and appreciate every last one of y'all. Agent Black, how you doing? Says, glad I got to watch today's show. And I'm glad that you did as well. I hope you didn't work too hard. See y'all later. Peace.